Imagine having complete freedom. No manual operations, no execution tasks, no more hands-on work, just having pure vision, exploration, and direction. That's the destination we explored in our last video, the zero-person business. And having that system that operates, improves, and expands without any human work doing anything. So how do we get there? That's what I told you today is all going to be about, right? What's that path from where you are right now, handling everything yourself, to that complete freedom? And today I'm going to be breaking down the exact progression path, the stages that we're going to need to move you through the very beginning, right? From the AI beginner all the way to the zero-person business expert, right? It's not theoretical. It's the exact roadmap that I've been following myself. So if you stick around to the end, I've got a special bonus for you, free resources just for you at each stage that'll help you accelerate your progress toward this zero-person business so you can get back to just being a human, being curious, exploring, and just enjoying the being, right? So the journey to this zero-person business, it's not about flipping a switch, okay? It's about a progression, a series of stages that gradually reduce your manual workload until it completely disappears. And it's really quite amazing how it works. And most people, the thing is, they get stuck at the earliest stages, or really, they can't really see the next stages, right? They're not aware of them. So they just stay down here, kind of like in between beginner and intermediate mode. They use an AI as like a slightly better tool, but they're using this rocket engine really to power like this bicycle. And they're missing this transformative potential if they would just see what's literally 2 feet further forward, man. So I've mapped it out, this entire journey, into very distinct stages. So that way you can start understanding where you are in this progression, which will help you give clarity, the clarity that you need on exactly where to focus next, okay? And I want to state this very clearly. I know there's going to be a lot of stages here, okay? But I really, really want you to focus on finding where you are and not skipping steps. And if you are more intermediate or advanced with your AI knowledge or implementation of whatever you're doing, I still want you to pay attention to these first few because they're so vital, because they set that foundation, that framework that you really need to have this strong ability to go and climb faster, right? And these tools at the beginning stages are really going to help at the later stages, okay? So with stage 1, we're at the very beginning. It's very simple. All we have to focus on is one thing: pattern extraction, all right? And everything, how does that happen? It just begins with collecting data. It's where you start experimenting with AI, having conversations, seeing what works and what doesn't work, right? Now, you got to think of these interactions as uncut gems. On the surface, yeah, they may not look valuable, right? Just a raw conversation with varying results. But inside them are the patterns that are just waiting to be discovered. These patterns are what's going to help us unlock this automated flow, right? Where the work is doing itself. Well, the key insights that most people are missing is that they look at these conversations like a one-off thing, right? And that the thing is, it's training data that reveals much more powerful patterns. So here's what I do. I look at these several conversations, right, with AI. I copy the entire thing. I literally copy the entire thing, right? And I put it in a new chat, and I prompt the AI and say, analyze these conversations. Identify what worked well, what didn't, okay? Now, I want you to create a template, and I can use it to consistently get good results. So it's going to analyze it, look at it. You can use one of the reasoning models because they're really good at thinking through stuff. Go through a couple rounds if you want to. But at the end, you're going to get that beautiful template, okay? And that AI, when it extracts those patterns and creates that structured prompt template, it turns these random conversations, these random uncut gems, right? It turns them into something beautiful, these repeatable systems. And it's like a chef who doesn't really just cook meals, right? It's like they start noticing these combinations of ingredients and these techniques that consistently create exceptional dishes. I'm half Pakistani, right? So in my family, we have one side where they always have the masala, right? You have the onion, you have the garlic, you have the ginger, you've got the spices, right? You have the tomato. That's it. That's your masala every time, right? No matter what, you always start with that. Then if you want to put lamb, beef, chicken, you want to throw in some vegetables, you want to throw in some Karilla, it's up to you, but you always have that nice foundation, okay? And that's what this is like. So now we're on to stage 2. We got the template implementation. And many of you have probably done this. I would assume a lot of people these days are moving towards this stage, stage 2. So once you have that first template, you're here now, right? So now you're working with this structured AI rather than having these random conversations, okay? Well, this stage is about becoming comfortable with your prompt template. You start understanding the relationship between your inputs and the AI's outputs. You develop an intuition for guiding the AI effectively of where you want to go. It's very similar to learning an instrument. At first, you're consciously thinking about finger positions or a tennis swing, right? You're consciously thinking about all these positions that everyone tells you to be in, right? And eventually, they become very second nature, and you start focusing on the music or the stroke or hitting the ball itself. Well, at this stage, you're getting very consistent now with these structured interactions, knowing exactly what producible and reliable outcome you're getting, right? And you're still very much in this operational loop, but that's okay, okay? You're just operating a lot more efficiently now. And that lets us get into stage 3, which is we're going to get to the fun stuff now, right? Well, that's where the AI-driven improvement comes in. And I'll tell you this, most people, they do stage 1, they do stage 2. But I'll tell you, 80% of people do not move past that. Maybe more, maybe 95% of people don't move past stage 2. Because stage 3 is the AI-driven improvement. This is where you refine your approach now. You start noticing the patterns in your AI's performance, where it's excelling and where it's falling short. And now, instead of you manually fixing these issues each time they start to arise, you're going to start systematically improving your prompt templates to prevent those issues from happening again, right? So this represents a crucial shift in your thinking. You started to work on the system, right? Rather than just in the system, in the chats, okay? That's the beautiful part. We're immediately advancing this really high level that everyone's always talking about. Work on the business, not in the business. Well, here it's very evident how it works, right? Well, the breakthrough here is that you can delegate this improvement process to AI again, right? Take that conversation where things went wrong, right? Look at the patterns that are working well, and provide them to AI along with that template. And ask, hey, how could we modify the prompt to prevent these issues in the future? Very simple. Now you're developing these meta skills, learning how to improve the improvement process itself. For me, these are the beginner stages, and that's totally fine. Most people stay there. Most people don't even make the stage 3. But now we move into the intermediate stages, this area where we're starting to build systems. So stage 4 is your domain specialization. So as you've been growing more comfortable with AI-driven improvement, you begin creating these specialized templates for these different domains. Instead of these general purpose AIs, you develop specialized ones for these specific functions. Maybe content creation, maybe writing tweets, making YouTube videos, maybe customer service, maybe writing emails, maybe product development. Hey, help me code this app, right? Help me write this book. Hey, how should I think about ordering this product, right? It's evolving really from this general handyman having a very specialized team of craftspeople, electricians, plumbers, carpenters, each masters their own very specific domain. Well, your system, right, is going to start expanding horizontally with these purpose-built agents, these purpose-built prompts, right, and handling these different aspects of your business. Now, we add on to that, right? Just like we take a little bit of what we did in stage 2 there, we kind of improve some things, yeah? Well, we take that another step. We have the stage 5, your review systems. So now we enter these more sophisticated territory. So instead of having these, to personally review the AI outputs, you start creating a specialized review agent, an AI that's specifically designed to evaluate the work of the other AIs. It's very much mirroring how these professional kitchens operate. The head chef doesn't taste every dish. They have sous chefs who ensure the quality standards before the plate leaves the kitchen, right? Yeah, of course, the head chef comes in every now and then to check the thing. But we start delegating, right? Now, again, watch this. Again, you started with your workflow where it transformed your AI creating output and you reviewing the output and you providing the feedback to the creator AI produces the output, the reviewer AI evaluates the output, and the reviewer AI provides the feedback. So now watch this. You've taken yourself, right? And you just replaced yourself. And you replace yourself again. Now, you just remain as the overseer, right? But you've removed yourself from this. If you remove yourself from another piece of this operational process, watch how we're going to keep slowly removing you from the process. Keep automating this, right? Keep producing the pattern at higher and higher levels. So now stage 6, we have these goal-based evaluations. This is really going to take this to the next level, okay? It's very important, right? You got to think about it. At this stage, you've established this clear success criteria for your AI output, right? But rather than having these subjective quality assessments, right, you create these explicit measurable standards. This is where you start to define what good actually means for each type of output. Is it engagement? Is it accuracy, creativity, conversion rate? What is it, right? By establishing these concrete success metrics, you enable more effective review processes and create this foundation for a true self-improving system. It's like setting these clear performance indicators for employees rather than just like relying on the vague impressions of their work. Like, yeah, it looks like a good thumbnail. Yeah, okay, nice. Oh, I like that title. Looks good. Oh yeah, that's a nice forehand swing. But what are you measuring that by? Is it the engagement rate? Is it the click-through rate? Is it how deep they're hitting the ball? How fast they're hitting the ball? How many winners they're hitting? Right? So if you don't like what's being made, well, don't blame the worker. You gotta have clear metrics and set better goals, right? It's all how optimization works at its core. Optimization is having something, right, and evaluating it against a goal, right, against this benchmark, and then adjusting. And that's how you optimize. Very simple. Do something, evaluate it against a goal, adjust. So now we move on to stage 7, self-improving loops. With this stage, you start to introduce the self-improvement mechanisms. You're going to now start creating these systems where the feedback from the review agents, right, automatically starts to improve the original prompts. So think of it again like a restaurant that doesn't just identify dishes that need improvement, but systematically updates the recipes based on the customer feedback, right? So your systems now functions as the creator AI that produces the output, the reviewer AI that evaluates the output and identifies the issues, good stuff, bad stuff, what's working, what's not. And then the improver AI, he's looking down at this, right? He says, give me your feedback, give me it. Okay, now I'm gonna go in the back door and I'm gonna go fix up the creator AI, right? I'm gonna go right in there. Great, now he's fixed him up. And this creates this virtuous cycle where your system becomes more capable with each iteration, each stage. Each time we have this little workflow going, we get better. Goes again, we get better. That's the optimization, self-optimization happening now, right? And so all of this is without requiring your direct involvement in this improvement process. Now, if you're finding it valuable, this stuff in this video, and understanding these stages, I want to just take 1 second and subscribe and give it a like, okay? Because this is a part of a series that will be transforming how you work with the AI. And I don't want you really to miss it, so that would keep you dialed in, all right? And if you're really liking any stages or having any questions, leave a comment below. Because I'm generally curious to hear where you are in your journey with all this. Are you stage 1, 2, maybe stage 4, maybe stage 7? All right, so we've gone from the initial beginner stages where you're kind of like getting used to this stuff, getting used to it. Now you got intermediate. Now what we're doing is we're improving it. We're helping the system evolve. We're taking ourselves slowly out of the process, right? Well, now we get into more of the advanced stuff. We get into the autonomous systems, okay? Stage 8, we get into agent pipelines. Oh, this starts to really connect these specialized teams. We got a maybe let's say a YouTube writer, right? Then we got the guy who's reviewing it, the guy who's improving it. But we can take that script as an output, and we can take that and make it a Twitter thread. We can make it an Instagram carousel post. We can make it a LinkedIn post, right? So we can start to string together these individual things, and we can start to create these coordinated workflows. So rather, we have this collaborative system that handles these complex multi-step processes. And this resembles how a film production, crews operate, right? You have a director, you got cinematographers, you got these sound engineers, you got editors, all bringing their own specialized expertise to create a cohesive final product, right? From idea all the way to movie. Now, we've got this beautiful thing, but now let's take it one step further, just one more step further, right? Stage 9. We got these shared working memories. This really is important because it brings this chain. We make it all actually work, right? So for the agent pipelines to function effectively, they've got to have this shared context. They gotta, right? Imagine you didn't know what the movie was, right? Okay, well, thanks, I know my specialized role, but what are we working on here, okay? It's the same. So they've got to have this common understanding of the goals, the progress, and the relevant information. And so that's why we got to introduce this idea of a shared working memory. That allows the system of agents to access and update this collective information. And so with that film crew, right, it's like they have these daily rushes. Everyone can see what's been shot, what's worked well, what needs adjustment. And that shared context keeps everyone aligned. So it can be as simple as shared text files or as sophisticated as a custom database, right? That's the beauty of it. When you understand this at a higher level, you don't need crazy software. You can do this in very simple text files in a folder file system, okay? And the key is that all the agents just got to have access to it and update the information and pull from it. And that creates that unified operational context. So now we got this beautiful pipeline. We've gone from you working with the AI, now the AI is working with the AI improving the AI, right? Now stringing together these teams in a pipeline. We've got this nice, beautiful pipeline, but guess what? We can make it better. Stage 10, we can have multiple pipelines, right? So when you have these effective agent pipelines established, you can go ahead and do that. They start to operate in parallel. So these aren't just teams. They're complete end-to-end workflows that handle entire processes from inception to completion. And it's like having multiple film crews simultaneously producing different movies, each with their own necessary specialists, each delivering their own complete projects, right? So here's some examples. You have a learning pipeline that researches, creates, and optimizes educational content. You got a development pipeline that designs, builds, and maintains your apps or your other products. You got a community pipeline that engages, supports, and grows your audience. So each pipeline operates autonomously while still connected to the broader system, right? And so guess what? Naturally, if these pipelines have this shared context, shared memory, you might as well just go on to stage 11 and have a system-wide memory. Okay, that's where it starts to get really cool. So as the pipelines are operating, they generate very valuable insights, right? So that's where we have this system-wide memory come into play. This repository of knowledge that's accessible across the entire system, right? This resembles how you got these film studios that maintain these archives of these techniques, solutions, and lessons that they learn that inform these future productions. So when one pipeline is discovering that very, very effective approach, just right here, this one little team, right? It propagates upward, but then it goes up again, right? It becomes available to all the pipelines, and then it spreads throughout. And so it creates that collective intelligence that keeps growing over time. And that long-term memory, this long-term memory transforms one-off little innovations that are isolated and siloed off into this organizational knowledge. And that's it, right? I mean, we're so close. We've basically got the system doing everything. So that's where we enter this expert stage. That's where we get to the zero-person business. So with stage 12, we add this piece because think about it. So far, we've been in the loop the whole time. We've been going to these different pipelines, doing these different things. Well, the stage 12 with the orchestration agent, that's where it gets fun. An AI that starts to oversee all these pipelines, right? He starts making the high-level decisions that we were making, right? About what are the priorities, the resource allocations, the new initiatives. Okay, he's got this idea. I'm going to put him there. He's got that idea. I'm going to put it there. I'm going to make a new pipeline here, there, right? It starts to become beautiful. It's like an executive producer. This entity, right, that ensures all the production aligns with the studio's overall vision, right, while maximizing efficiency and effectiveness. Yeah, so this orchestration agent becomes your primary interface. You go from talking with the top agents at each of the pipelines, right, to now, instead of having 5, 10 agents to talk to, you just got to talk to one guy, right? And that's your primary point of contact now. So all you got to have is like you just communicate your vision, your goals to that agent. You got that saved in memory as well, right? That's where you start to see, oh my God, yeah, all of this gets so automated. And it just happens so naturally, right? And this orchestration agent, he starts to coordinate and execute across all the pipelines for you. You know, he can create all those pipelines whenever he needs to create a new one. And then he adjusts the resources based on whatever is needed. He identifies bottlenecks. Okay, there's an issue here. We got to fix that. Or he's a smart guy. He's a smart guy. So he's even built a team in that identifies that for him, right? Just like he used to do, right? And they begin to implement very good solutions to fix these things and make the system better. Right? And he continues to make sure that the system-wide, it's got total alignment with your vision. So at this stage, you've completely removed yourself from the tactical operations. And now you're just focused solely on the strategical direction. But you've got one little issue, right? Is that you don't have any specific software. You're still working in a certain way. So you're the one that's, you may be pressing continue, right? You may be not having to do anything because the system's just running through pipelines like crazy. But you don't have this total automated handoff. You are the one passing messages off from one agent to the next agent. So this final stage implements that automated handoff process where the mechanisms, right, that allow this entire system to operate without manual intervention between the steps. So instead of triggering the next action, transferring outputs between agents, the system handles all those transitions automatically. And this requires certain things, right, that you could trigger. And that's the fun stuff. So you got APIs, you can do custom software or specialized tools, but this completes the transformation to a true zero-person business. With these automated handoffs in place, you can just set the direction and watch your beautiful, entire complex processes unfold without any manual requirements from you. So we took you from literally not knowing what AI is or how to work with it, just talking to it, to copying conversations, building a template, letting the other agents review it, having it go horizontal, making a lot of different domain experts, right? Then stringing these experts together in a pipeline, then creating multiple pipelines, then having an orchestration agent, and all of it tied together with this memory system, and then eventually adding the custom tools to have the systems automatically run for you without you needing to be in it anymore, right? So let me share some principles that are very effective for moving through these stages. So you've got this, progressive mastery you've really got to think about, okay? Because it's very important. It can be very overwhelming to get to that last stage because it doesn't make sense if you're not there yet, right? So don't attempt to leap from stage 1 to stage 13 immediately. You got to master each stage before advancing to the next. But I wouldn't say you have to go 100%. You don't have to be perfect with everything. If we were always trying to be perfect, we would never get anywhere, right? So I recommend this 80% rule, right? Just get to 80% natural feeling. Like, okay, I feel pretty good with this, right? Because when you're there and you're consistently getting good results without this really big struggle, that's time to advance, right? And this is not me coming out of this. Is like from neuroscience learning. Perfect mastery isn't necessary. It can actually just slow that progress down. But that functional proficiency is essential before adding any complexity. It's like, when you're learning the tennis swing, you're not going to go in and play like a match on your first day. You got to learn to hit the forehand, learn to hit the backhand, learn to hit the serve, right? Get a little bit better at it, get a little bit better at it, get a little bit better at it. And then eventually you start to go play some better and more fun tennis, and you go play some matches, right? And you play some tournaments, and then you play some bigger tournaments, right? And then you go to the pro circuit, and then you're number 1 in the world. But you got to get there, Okay, the next thing that we can do as we're implementing this is that we got to start small, we got to think big, okay? We got to begin with a single focused process, but design it with the future expansion in mind. So your first templates, your first review agents, your first self-improvement systems, right, should be built with the awareness of the broader architecture that you're creating, right? Because that bigger picture is going to keep you aligned, keep you moving forward, keep you thinking in the right direction. So this approach mirrors how the architects designed the buildings. They start with the foundational elements that will support this entire structure, right? Even though the construction happens in phases. You got to start small, and this allows that rapid learning and iteration. So thinking big ensures that you're building in a direction that supports your ultimate vision, though. And then you got to start having this meta pattern recognition. As you progress, you're going to begin recognizing these meta patterns, right? Principles that will work effectively across all systems and all contexts, right? These meta patterns are invaluable. They're invaluable because they allow you to build new capabilities much, much faster, right? When you abstract away all of this stuff, you start to really be able to build in a way that you couldn't build before. And you're applying these proven approaches rather than just starting from scratch every time. So, for example, you might discover that certain prompt structures consistently produce better results across domains, right? Or that specific review approach reliably improve quality, right? So you got to document these meta patterns. You got to start to, realize that these are architectural patterns and principles of your zero-person business. And then if you get really good at it, you get your system to start looking for these, like we talked about. Make it have its own pattern discovery process, okay? And then you got to have these system feedback loops, because the most powerful systems incorporate these robust feedback loops, these mechanisms that automatically capture outcomes, evaluate the performance, and implement all the improvements. And these feedback loops enable autonomous improvement, okay? That's very, very, very important, because without them, your system, maintains its capabilities, but with them, it continuously evolves and enhances those capabilities. And so these effective feedback loops, they should capture rich, relevant data, they should evaluate against the clear criteria, and they should implement improvement systematically and verify the enhancement through further testing, right? Is it actually working? Did it get better? Did it get worse? You've got to have measurables. You've got to track things. If we're not tracking stuff, we don't know what's changing, right? We don't know if it's getting better or worse. Literally inherently built into the idea of change is that measurement, because without measurement, you don't know if change is occurring, right? And so if we can have things built into our system to allow for this, it makes it work. It makes it beautiful. So let me share just like a glimpse of my own journey through these stages. So initially, I was definitely where most people started, right? Like everyone. I started stage 1. I just have free-form conversations with AI. I get some incredible results. I get a cool image. I get a great response out of the AI, And sometimes I don't really get anything good. I'm like, God, where is this going? But I quickly recognized the potential for this pattern extraction. So I began collecting these conversations, right? And having AI analyze them to develop these templates. And as I worked with these templates, my understanding of effective AI guidance deepened. And then the game changers really came when I started to implement these review agents. So it's like suddenly I wasn't personally evaluating every output. AI reviewers were accessing with this beautiful template of theirs, and they would assess this quality, the consistency, and alignment of what was outputted, right? And this significantly reduced my operational burden. I just continuously started doing more of the continue button. But from there, I progressed to self-improvement systems. My agents began refining their own prompts based on the performance data that we were collecting and creating an upward spiral of the capability. So now I'm working with multiple specialized pipelines, building out this shared memory system and implementing these cross-pipeline improvements. And each stage has reduced my hands-on requirements while expanding the system's capabilities. Now, I'm not going to pretend like I'm at stage 13 yet, because I'm not. I still need to initiate the processes and occasionally intervene, very frequently, because it's still working itself out. But the trajectory is so clear, and each advance it keeps bringing me closer to this complete operational freedom. So as you navigate this progression, you'll encounter obstacles, okay? So here are the most common challenges and effective ways to overcome them. Many people doubt whether AI can truly handle complex tasks. They've got this capability skepticism, right? And it often stems from these early disappointing experiences with this unstructured AI use. So a lot of people, that's why I said they stop at stage 1 or they stop at stage 2, right? Beyond just not being aware of what they could do. So like the solution to this skepticism is this incremental capability building, starting with that simple, well-defined tasks where the success criteria are very clear. And as you witness the reliable performance, you'll start to gradually increase the complexity, right? And that skepticism will start to slowly go away. So remember, that capability emerges from system design more than from the raw AI power. Well-structured multi-agent systems can accomplish tasks that single agents just simply cannot. Okay, for reasons like the context window, for reasons like it's very similar to a human, right? Imagine trying to multitask and juggle 10 things at once. Well, you perform much better at one task when you're focused on the one task. Now, you also probably have some control concerns. Relinquishing operational control can definitely feel, I know, because it happens to me all the time. It happens to people that I'm talking to about this, right? It can feel very uncomfortable, very frightening. And like, honestly, you're probably worried about quality. You're probably worried about alignment. You're probably worried that like you'll simply lose touch with the operational details, okay? But you know what? When you're trying to automate, when you're trying to build a system where you remove yourself, you got to be able to separate from perfection, right? So, you got to address this by implementing tiered oversight, all right? Initially, reviewing everything yourself, that's fine. That's totally makes sense. But then you start to automate the routine reviews while personally examining the edge cases, right? What's going on here? Because most of the stuff's looking good. Occasional check-ins, right? That also works. Eventually, you're only going to review the summary reports and the exceptions that are going on. So this gradual transition, right, helps to build that confidence. It's the same thing. We gradually increase 80% next level, 80% next level, 80% next level, right? Gradual improvement, gradual accepting of what's going on here, gradual capability expansion. So then we might have technical barriers. We have these advanced stages that require the technical implementations that might exceed your current capabilities. And this can create, a roadblock, a very big mental roadblock, if not addressed proactively. Multiple solutions exist depending on your situation. You can use no-code tools that simplify implementation, like N8N, right, or Make, right? You can learn the necessary technical skills, and AI can help you with that. It can tell you what you need to do. Just ask it, like you've been learning the whole time, this whole process. Collaborate with technical partners, right? Or hire developers, I suppose. You can talk to smart people. In my mind, the AI is one of the smartest people on the planet. It's got the whole internet in its brain. So just ask it, right? So, and the AI is amazing because it can help you overcome the technical challenges. It can write the prompts. It can write the design systems. It can write the code. It can solve the complex problems, right? It can solve this operational stuff you're trying to do. It can help you. So you might have this alignment maintenance issue. A system that becomes more and more autonomous, well, it can start to potentially drift away from the vision or the intent. It's this phenomenon is this alignment drift. So to combat that, you've got to have maybe sometimes these regular alignment checkups, okay? Even as you remove yourself from the day-to-day operations, you can periodically, slowly backing off of that though, periodically review the outputs against your core vision and values, right? Again, if you just follow all the steps of what we've been doing the whole time, having metrics, having certain criteria, this stuff should take care of itself. But, sometimes it's good to check on it and, make sure it's going well. But if the outputs are good and the metrics are getting hit, you should be good. So the progression from AI beginner to the zero-person business expert really represents a profound shift in how we relate to work itself. It's not merely about efficiency or automation. It's about transcending the manual execution entirely. And as you advance through all these stages, you'll experience this transformation from being the doer to being the visionary. You're going to have your focus that shifts from how to the what and the why, from execution to direction and purpose, and eventually to just being, right? Being curious, right? And letting the system do whatever it wants to do, but it's going to be so good that it does it perfectly. But yeah, it takes time, right? But this journey, it liberates you, not just your time, but your creative capacity, like I'm telling you. Because when the operational tasks no longer consume your energy, what emerges is that creative expression, that unfiltered curiosity, and that natural exploration, right? So as promised, I've created some free resources, so you can just go ahead and click a link in the description. It's totally free. I've got a questionnaire that you can give to the AI as a prompt. It's going to help you figure out what stage you're on, because that's, like I said, super important to know what stage you're on. Then after that, you're going to go in there, and I've got this resource to help you get started on whatever stage you're on or whatever stage you're on next, right? That'll really help. Just get the gears going to get you moving up and up toward the zero-person business stuff we got going on for you, right? Now, the thing is, there is one caveat to all of this. This stuff is amazing. It is amazing, but you're probably going to run into some problems that may slow you down. So you'll want to watch the next video where I cover exactly how to avoid this problem that I come upon, which is this dependency problem, right? These long pipelines, and it might take a while, right? And so not only are you going to figure out how to overcome them, but what I'm going to help you do is learn how you can rapidly speed up your development of your projects and start taking your system to the next level. So go ahead and click right here.